Welcome back to Candy's Classic Game Shrine, everyone. Today is going to be my obligatory Portland Retro Gaming Expo recap video where I go over, what I did over the weekend and my pickups. But just a warning now, my pickups aren't going to be huge nor spectacular. I'm happy to share them with you guys, but don't expect anything too crazy. With that said, let's continue. Starting off on Friday, my husband and I drove down to Portland, and when we were checking into the hotel, we bumped into tons of familiar faces from YouTube content creators, other folks that are going to be going to the expo that weekend, and some of the other talent that was going to be participating in the expo. So I said hello to the people that I knew, like John Riggs, John Hancock, Kelsey, Adam Korlick, of course. Trying to think who else. I have it written down because it was a long weekend and I'm exhausted. Let's see. Reggie, Radical Reggie, Pat the NES Punk I bumped into as well. Ben from the Sega Shiro group. And I know I'm probably forgetting a couple of you guys, and I'm sorry. I'm sure you understand how exhausted I am right now. But that was great. We checked in, threw our things up in the hotel room, came back down. We were deciding on whether or not we wanted to drive for dinner somewhere, but we decided to just get food at the bar and get some drinks. I don't drink, I got like soda or whatever, but when we were there, we were watching whatever was on the TV, talking to the bartender, when Tim Kitzrow and Paul Niemeyer show up, start goofing around, shocked to see us here again, and just busted me and my husband's chops, being goofy like they always are. Great dudes, always love bumping into them wherever I am. But they go off on their own way, and then Paul Eating shows up, and I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, because that man was an absolute sweetheart. I would invite him over to Thanksgiving dinner every year. But he sits down, we start talking about his career, his family, and the things that he loves about his job, and how he appreciates how much people still love him for the things that he's done and still continues to do. And, we were goofing around, joking. He then went his own way, and then Kenny James showed up, who is the voice of Bowser, and he was just like, he came in and just started chatting with my husband and I as if he'd known us for years, starts making jokes with my husband, and just a great man to have a conversation with and just chat. The whole time I was speaking with him, and honestly everyone that I came in contact with this year, that and last year, that is a big name in our community, in Hollywood, whatever. They were all just so humble, so sweet, and just awesome people, and I'm glad they are around. And I'm glad I got to spend time with them like this. I'm beyond grateful for the opportunity I was given this year to have a guest pass to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. It allowed me to have a little bit more intimate time. I don't mean intimate like that. I mean like more one-on-one time with folks that are larger names in the industry, and just get to talk to them like normal people. And again, it was really humbling to be able to spend time with them. They themselves were extremely humble and very, very kind. But I'm still a bit starstruck over it all. I've been explaining it to people as I got to spend the weekend with my childhood, which if you told, like, I'm trying to think the youngest I was for some of these folks, maybe like between the ages of like definitely 7 and up, maybe a little younger, that I'd be meeting some of these people, having lunch with some of these people. I would have called you a liar, liar, pants on fire, the end. I would have never believed it. But this weekend, I'm still trying to convince myself that it happened, and it was amazing. Aside from Paul Niemeyer, Paul Eiding, Tim Christopher, the ones that I had mentioned in the beginning. I had also met up with so many other people, like the cast from the original Resident Evil intro movie. Like, holy crap, huge fangirl moment there for me. Unreal that I was like sitting there with them, and the guy that plays Chris Redfield was smiling at the virtual girl, because I did bring that with me, of course, and it was just crazy for me. Phil Moore from Nick Arcade, oh my gosh, talk about nostalgia there. Growing up watching that show, amazing times, and then to just casually have conversations with him and just, you know, get to know him on a personal level was just amazing. By the end of the weekend, he heard that I was leaving to go back to Washington, and he's like, oh, hold on one second. He goes, he wishes me a happy birthday. He gives me this great big like dad hug. He's like the father you wish you had, or the one that you hope you have. Like, great man right there. Amazing. I'm glad people like these folks exist. Like, I don't know, it's nice to see them as a normal person and not as the character that they play, because there's so much more than the character that they play, and I feel like they deserve to be treated as such. But you know, along with the Resident Evil crew, the Mortal Kombat crew was also spending time upstairs in the room, coincidentally, while I was up there, and we were all having conversations. Desmond Crisis from back in the day on CNET and such, and I have hit it off quite well. Great gentleman there, got to meet his family, very nice people. It was just a very nice one-on-one experience with everyone, and it really made my birthday, I don't really do birthday weekends, I barely do birthdays, but it made it all very special to me, especially since this is hopefully / most likely my last time going to Portland Retro Gaming Expo, at least while living on the West Coast. I'll hopefully be moving back to New Jersey next year sometime, but won't stop me from going to Portland Expo in the future. However, it just added to, I guess, that magical feeling over the weekend, getting to spend time with, like I was saying, literally my childhood. People that were huge parts of it, whether it was in film, in video games, in TV, like all of that. It's crazy. And again, super grateful for all of that. Like, and I'm also very happy that those of them that got to try the pumpkin bread that I brought for Adam Koralik as part of an ongoing tradition that we have, I'm glad that they got to enjoy it too. It seems like a big hit with everyone. And if any of you happen to be watching by some random chance, hit me up and I will give you the pumpkin bread recipe. That goes for anyone else that's watching too. Let's see. I had to write all this down again because, like I said, I'm exhausted. Aside from the larger names in talent, whether it was like film, YouTube, etc., it was great to see members of the local gaming group that I'm in, the Greater Seattle Area Retro Gamers. It's a mouthful, but it's an amazing freaking group, and if you're in the area, I highly recommend you join. I'll put a link in the description below as well if you want. There are so many of you, and I don't want to forget names, so I'm just going to say that it was amazing seeing all of you. And if I can't get to throwing a fall get-together, you know, together, I will try to do something else in the winter before I move. But with that, let's see. Yes. It was another reason that this weekend was pretty historic. I mean, at least for me, and pretty special for me. And I would say many other gamers in the gaming community, is being able to reunite the virtual girl with the Nintendo PlayStation, or as it is now known as the PlayStation Zero. It's going to take me a while to get that out or into my memory, since we've been calling it Nintendo PlayStation all of these years. It was only a couple years after it was discovered that I got to meet the, I don't want to say original owner, I guess, yeah, the original third-party owner, Terry, who signed the virtual girl. You can see his signature still here. He became a really, really close friend of mine, and I was upset when he sold it, but I understood why, and I was heartbroken when he passed away. And I feel like being able to reunite the virtual girl with the PlayStation Zero kind of was like saying hello to Terry one more time. It sucks that he's gone. It really does. I really miss seeing him at conventions every year. He always made me feel like I was back home. But with it being in the hands that it's currently in, I do know that Terry would be extremely happy. The person that currently owns it is an amazing person. He is extremely down to earth. He is a big kid at heart. He is a nerd just like us, and he appreciates and understands the importance of game preservation and making things like this available to the public. I remember in the beginning when it first sold, the media and social media were kind of like portraying this as some rich millionaire hoarder that was like, oh yes, it's mine, I'm gonna hide it away, no one's ever gonna see it again. I can confirm, definitely not the case with this gentleman. He is quite opposite of what everyone thought he was going to be, and it makes me feel so much better knowing that and getting to have met him and pick his brain about things. I know it's in good hands now. I can confidently say that, and I'm happy to see it potentially pop up in the future for others, or not potentially, it's almost certain it's going to pop up more in the future for others to see. So if you missed it this time, I wouldn't be too upset. Although, again, I don't know for certain, but I would imagine so. Trying to think if there's anything else I forgot this weekend. Gosh, there was just so much, but I had such an amazing time. Like, going back to my pumpkin bread, it started several years ago at PRGE. I told Adam Koralik that I would make pumpkin bread because he had tried it another time at my house and fell in love with it. And I brought it to PRGE and I shared it with a bunch of people that were in his Discord server that happened to also be at PRGE. And it has now become a tradition that is expected of me, where I am to make pumpkin bread for him and the group of us that go to Portland every year. And don't get me wrong, I love doing that. Feeding people is my love language. But this year we had a pumpkin bread competition, and I'm not going to spoil it or anything with the results. You'll have to watch Adam Korolik's channel to figure that out. But we had a pumpkin bread challenge, and I got to share it with members of his Discord server, a bunch of other YouTubers, a bunch of people at the convention as guests, like the artists and such. But it was just such a great time. I think it was a great way to end my last West Coast resident Portland Expo. Because like I said, I do want to come back to it even after I move to the East Coast. So you ain't getting rid of me yet, or at least entirely. So I guess that's enough of me yapping about my experience over the weekend and saying how grateful I am and just repeating myself. So let me show you the couple of things I got. First off, let me show off my cool little Castlemania bag here. And I apologize if my voice is like hoarse and stuff. I've been yelling all weekend. Okay, that's everything. So from Castlemania Games, I picked up Project Blue. It is a nice little homebrew game. It's like a Metroidvania style platformer. I was playing it for a bit at the con, and I figured if they had it, I'm grabbing it. If pictures of these things don't show up well in the video, I'll just do it in post so you can see it better. Speaking of Castlemania, some little Castlemania swag stickers. Like I said, if anything doesn't show up in the video, I'll do it in post. I got my little clown nose microphone replacement foam for my Hey You Pikachu microphone. Nothing too special there, but I've been wanting to replace mine since it's all destroyed. Here is my guest pass for Portland Retro Gaming Expo this weekend. This is what the guest badge looks like. All the badges essentially look the same, but this black part on mine where it says guest and on the back is just a different color depending on what type of badge you have. Whether you're an exhibitor, just like somebody doing a one day, weekend, etc. Let's see. This is one of two pins that I got. This one is a Geek Fest pin. Hopefully you can see it well. This is for a convention that was held a little while ago. It was the first of its kind out here, and it was an amazing first show. I really hope to see more of it in the future years, and that's one I'll also travel to see, especially to help support my buddy that helps run it. Let's see. Here is my other pin. This one I got for my husband because he was sick on Saturday, or rather Friday night into Saturday. He seemed to have gotten like food poisoning or like an overnight stomach bug, and we were joking and saying that he was dead in the hotel, or that he was dying in the hotel. So when I saw this pin, since we were in Oregon, I figured I'd get him a pin from Oregon Trail that says, "You have died of dysentery." So I got that for him. Let's see here. These are a little bit more swag that segues into my next purchase. Again, nothing too crazy. Got a little bit of something from Pink Gorilla when I saw Kelsey at her booth later during the weekend, and I got this cutie pie. So in the beginning, they were known as Pink Godzilla, but you know, copyright and all that weird stuff. And by the way, this was before Kelsey owned it. It was known as Pink Gorilla, and I'm trying to find the Pink Gorilla. Here we are. This is the Pink Godzilla. Now they're known as Pink Gorilla, which is this cutie pie. This is their main mascot. And I got this when I first moved to Washington almost 7 years ago now. And they discontinued this style of plush years ago before I had moved, but I always loved it. And now that they brought it back, I had to get one. And it is so soft and it is so squishy, and I love it so much. I really hope to see them doing more with the other mascots that they've made that are featured on some of their other enamel pins. I want to get those when I go over to the International District next. But I figured for Portland, that's enough. And these are technically things I got while I was in Portland at the expo. However, my friend Adam Koralik was in Japan a few months ago and grabbed some things that he saw that he thought I would like, and here they are. Without further ado, apparently I'm now inadvertently collecting Japanese Virtual Boy copies, even though they were released in North America. But this is a new old stock copy, and it is beautiful right now. And hopefully I get to keep it that way. But this is what I picked up from Adam. He also grabbed me another new old stock Panic Bomber here. The plastic started to come a little undone here, but that's okay. I don't really care too much about that. But the Japanese box art for Virtual Boy games are so much better than the North American. Here's a loose copy of Panic Bomber for Japan. And he also surprised me with a Mario Clash from Japan. And that's pretty much all of my pickups for the Portland Retro Gaming Expo this weekend. If you couldn't tell by me stuttering and stammering, I am exhausted. So I am going to go take my pink gorilla plushies and I am going to go take a nap now. With that said, thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care.